What's up, guys? So we're moving on through Unit 8, which today we're going to be doing 8.6, which is going to be using your trig ratios, and we're going to be using those to find a missing side of a right triangle. Okay, so let's jump into that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at are the key points, and the thing that we need to remember are our trig ratios. So we got sine, which is going to be SOH, opposite over hypotenuse, so SOH. We got cosine, which is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. And then we got tangent, which is going to be opposite over adjacent. So what's going to happen is we're going to end up giving an angle, and we're going to have to determine which one of these am I going to use. And then we're going to use that ratio and end up finding a missing side by using the ratio, okay? So let's go ahead and look at example number 1 so I can show you how to do that. Okay, so on example number 1, it says, using trig ratios, we need to find the value of x right now. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to determine which one of the trig ratios you are going to use. So again, my trig ratios are SOH-COTOA. So SOH-COTOA, okay? So right now, we're going to look at the angle that they have given us. So right now I have a 90-degree angle. I'm never going to use these trig ratios from the 90-degree angle. It's always going to be the other two. So right now, if you look, they have given me my 60-degree angle right here, which is going to be known as my reference angle. So that is what I'm going to reference everything from. So right now, I automatically know opposite of my 90-degree angle is always going to be my hypotenuse. Opposite of the 60-degree angle, my reference angle is going to be the opposite side, which means my other side is going to be my adjacent side. So the next thing you need to look at, I have my hypotenuse. I need my opposite side. So opposite hypotenuse, if I look, opposite and hypotenuse is going to be my sine ratio. So let's go ahead and set that up. So I know the sine of my angle, so normally I would put theta right there, but I'm going to do the sine of my angle, which is going to be 60 degrees, is going to be equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So right now my opposite side is x, my hypotenuse is going to end up being 17 over here. Now the thing that you guys need to realize is if I was to find whatever x is and I was to divide those, it's going to give me a decimal number, okay? And so if I actually type the sine of 60 in the calculator, it's also going to be a decimal. So in return, I want to make those two equal to each other. So right now I'm treating sine 60, that whole thing, as if it is a number, just like I'm doing a radical or something that's not necessarily showing an exact number. So I'm treating this whole thing as if it is a number, okay? So right now I need to basically solve the equation now. So if I look over here on the right side, I have x divided by 17. So in order for me to get x by itself, I need to multiply by 17 on both sides. So I'm going to multiply by 17 over here, and I'm going to multiply by 17 over here. So literally inside my calculator, I'm going to do 17 times the sine of 60. I'm going to do this whole thing in my calculator. So right now in my calculator, I'm going to type that in exactly as it shows. So I'm going to do 17 times the sine of 60. And when I click enter, that's going to end up giving me a decimal, which is going to be 14.7224. But I'm going to keep it at the tens place. So x is going to be equal to 14.7. So again, I'm dividing by 17, so I multiply by 17 on both sides. So I multiplied 17 times the sine of 60, and that ended up giving me my missing side, okay? Let's jump over to example number 2. All right, guys, so on example number 2, I'm doing the same exact concept. I have a right triangle. I've been given an angle, so now I know I can use trig ratios to try and find the missing side that I want. So right now, if you look, I have been given the reference angle of 27. This is my angle that I'm going to be viewing everything from, okay? I know always opposite of my 90-degree angle is going to be my hypotenuse. Opposite of the angle 27 on the other side of my triangle is always going to be my opposite side, which means my third side down here is going to be my adjacent side. So now let's recognize here. I am needing to find my adjacent side, and I have my hypotenuse. So I know SOHCAHTOA again, right? SOHCAHTOA, okay? So right now I need my adjacent side, I have my hypotenuse. Adjacent hypotenuse is gonna be cosine, so I'm gonna be using the cosine ratio again, okay? So here we go. So I have the cosine. Normally I put theta here because that's my reference angle, but my reference angle is 27. So the cosine of 27 is going to be equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent over my hypotenuse. So again, I'm going to go ahead and say this. If I type the cosine of 27 in the calculator, it's going to give you a decimal number, okay? And so now I am trying to find the number that x is when I divide it by 20 is going to give me the same exact decimal. So we're using a ratio here. So all I got to do is I got to solve for x. So I know that x is being divided by 20. So that means I'm going to multiply by 20 on both sides to get rid of that 20. So that's going to cancel. So I'm going to be left with x over here. And so now literally in the calculator, I'm going to do 20 times the cosine of 27. Because remember, I want you guys to treat this whole thing as if it is an actual number, okay? So in my calculator or using Desmos, whatever you're using, I'm going to do 20 times the cosine of 27. And when I click enter, it's going to give me a decimal, and I'm going to round to the tens place. So 17.8 would be your x value on that side measurement. So again, I'm using my reference angle, finding what sides are, and then that's going to tell me which cosine or which trig ratio I'm actually going to use to find my answer. Let's jump to example number 3. Okay, so on example number 3 here, I'm doing the same concept again. I am using a right triangle. I've been given one angle, and I need to find a missing side by using trig ratios. So again, the angle they have given me is 51. That is my reference angle. So I'm going to reference everything from the angle. I know opposite of my 90-degree angle is always my hypotenuse. Opposite of the angle given is going to be my opposite side. And the third side, meaning the side that I don't have, is going to be known as my adjacent side. Okay? So I'm using trig. So SOHCAHTOA. Notice I'm writing this on every problem here, or you can write it at the top of your paper, however you want to do it. So right now, I have my adjacent side. I need my hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse is going to be A and H, which is going to be my cosine ratio again. So let's go ahead and write this out. So I'm going to do the cosine. Normally I put theta there, but my reference angle here is going to be 51. So I'm going to do 51 is going to be equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse. So again, I'm trying to find what number when I divide it into 10 is going to equal whatever the decimal would be of the cosine of 51. So the trick here, guys, is in order for me to solve for this, I would have to end up multiplying by x on both sides and then just dividing the cosine of 51. So I'm going to show you a little trick real quick. Is whenever you have x on bottom or the variable on bottom, I'm going to take what's on the left over here, I'm going to take what's on the bottom, and I'm going to swap places with them. So x is going to be equal to 10 divided by the cosine of 51. So I'm going to type that exactly as it's written in my calculator. So I'm going to do 10 divided by the cosine of 51. And when I click enter, that's going to end up giving me a decimal. So I'm going to round to the tens place. So x is going to be equal to 15.9. All right, guys, so remember, this is your challenge question. If you can answer this on your own, that means you're ready to move on to your skill check. If you're needing some help, I can come over and assist you. Other than that, good luck on your skill check. Let me know if you need any help. Tell me what you